Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis, and today I want to talk a little bit about my shade house actually, and some of the first things that I did even before I moved the plants in there, or as I was starting to move the plants in there, is think about the sun and where it's going to be, right? So, this is entirely designed to reduce the sunlight, but one of the things that I think people who move their plants outside each year typically have to face is the fact that the sun A is moving, and the B that the sun, as it moves across the sky, can burn your plants really bad. And so before I moved them in here, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't burning them right off the bat at least. And so what I'll do is I'll show you a little bit about sort of where the sun is. And then I took a series of photos on a day that I had just moved the plants in so I could get a better idea of what the sun was doing. And of course, that's a snapshot in time, right? The sun is changing. If you're not on the equator, the sun is moving all across the sky as the seasons roll around. So, you can't just sort of look at a situation like this and say, okay, on this day in May, the sun didn't burn my plants. You have to think about, well, what about in 2 or 3 or 4 months from now? What's that going to look like? Where's the sun going to be in the sky? And you'll have to move your plants accordingly. So I want to take you through some of the logic of what I did to sort of evaluate what is happening with the plants relative to the sun. And I took a series of photos on a single day, so I'll show you those here in a second. And then afterwards, I want to just quickly walk you through my little setup and show you some cool things. Actually, we've had 2 pretty significant thunderstorms roll through since I set this up. No plants have moved. The shade cloth didn't fly away. I don't even know if the storms caused the whole thing to lift up, and if it did, I have these tie downs right here on each corner that should and seem to have held the whole shade cloth, the whole shade structure in place. So I'm really excited about that. So first, let's take a look at these photos, and I'll put a timestamp on each one so you can see what's happening with the sun as it moves across the sky. All right, so it's 9:42 a.m. and you can see that the sun is hitting most of these plants unfiltered, and that's as the sun kind of comes in from the right side of the image there and gets in above the fence and below the shade cloth. And honestly, that's fine. It's not a big deal. The plants can take that full sun for pretty much the first half of the day without really much negative effects occurring. So here we are at 10:36. You can see there's some clouds there obscuring the sun a little bit, but you can see that still most of the plants are getting a lot of sun, probably full sun. And again, this time of day getting sun from the east is not terrible, so I'm not too worried about that. All right, so you can see here at 11:19 a.m., most of the plants are out of the sun, but there's still a significant number of them that are getting direct sun. And so we're getting closer to that point where full sun is probably not great for the plants. We're sort of at that border where cattleyas are gonna start burning, but not if they're used to it. All right, here we are an hour later, and all of the plants that I want to be shaded from sunburn in the afternoon are in the shade. So this is good. This means that the shade cloth is doing what I want at the time that I want. Now in the foreground on the left side of the screen, you'll see that there are some plants still getting full sun, but that's okay. That's the Polystachya gracilis, and those are my certipodiums. Those are my sun lovers, and they're placed there intentionally so that they do get much more sun than everyone else. All right, a little further in the day, it's 12:56. And again, the shade cloth is doing what I want it to do at the time and place that I want it to do it. So I am happy with this particular result at this time of day. Okay, it's 2:16 p.m. and everything is in deep shade And I say deep shade, it's a 60% shade cloth, so it's not really that deep, but you know what I mean. Again, the Certipodiums and the Neobenthemia gracilis, or excuse me, the Polystachya gracilis, are getting a little extra sun, but not too much. And here we have the last photo. I don't want to bore everyone to tears, but again, everything is where I want it to be. You know, at this time of day, maybe I want those the Certipodiums to be within the shade cloth entirely. So that's something that I'll have to think about going forward. Anyway, let's take a walk around and see some of the plants. All right, as you saw earlier, the sun generally moves across the sky, and this time of year sets behind that giant oak tree over there. So that's due west-ish, right? That's basically north. Over that way is east. So as the sun is coming across, you know, it's coming down and coming unfiltered through that part of the area between the fence and the shade cloth. So keep that in mind. So that, you know, as we saw, that actually kind of goes towards lunchtime, basically, where the sun is coming down and hitting some of these plants with no shade up until noon, which, you know, can be pretty strong for some plants. So as you're planning where you're going to put all your plants, you have to think about, all right, so I've got this spot that might get a little more sun than I want. I need to have sun-tolerant plants. And then what you do is you come through after a couple days out here and you see, is anyone getting burnt? And for the most part, we can say no. I do see some new burning on this leaf here. This is a plant that's not doing well, but you can see it's starting to burn. I'll probably end up tossing that one anyway. But basically, I'm seeing older leaves and only a few of them getting a little crispy. And that's not terrible. Older leaves are going to be less adaptable, especially to higher light. So here's another one that's a little bit of a new burn. But that's about it. So I'm satisfied that the sun here is not having too much of an effect on these. I think this is a new burn right here. So that's the most significant burn. And it's not terrible. It's not great. It's not what you want to see. Here's another one. But it's been out here for, gosh, quite a few days now. And that's the worst that's happened. So, you know, of course, I'll keep an eye on this. And so as the sun tracks across the sky, you know, it might continue moving a little bit north as we get closer and closer to the summer solstice. And there you go. Hopefully I'm not blinding anyone. You can see that right now here in the late afternoon, the sun is still underneath the shade cloth. So if the sun moves over even a little bit more, I could have plants that are being exposed to full afternoon sun. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. And then as we get past the summer solstice, the sun will start to track this way. And so the plants that are on this side of the shade cloth won't be in danger. I'll have to start thinking about the ones over there as more and more sun pours in during different parts of the day over there. That said, we do have some blooms. Actually, I have a lot of my seedlings here, Cattleya seedlings, medium-aged Cattleyas over there, some big mature plants over here and over here. Down here are most of my small catasetums. And then some of my catasetums that I'm not quite watering are outside the basket there. And, you know, it's hot, it's late in the year. I'm not too worried if they get some water. I'll just drain the water off after they get rained on, basically. But, you know, the plants are responding well, you know, as well as they can for a couple days. I've got an Amethysta glossa buds coming out here, which is nice. I have this Tigrina, which took some insect damage, but I've sold this to my friend Charles, actually, and this is the same Tigrina that bloomed earlier in the year, so he's going to get a nice one in bloom this Sunday. and of course it's incredibly fragrant, so I'm keeping it out here nice and safe in the middle so that there's no way it gets burned. This is an old spot here. I've got Cattleya purpurata over there blooming. It looks like this took a little damage in the storms, and this spike is not quite snapped. And then, of course, with white Cattleya flowers, you get rained on and you get these spots. So it's unfortunate. Doesn't look great, but it still smells nice, and it's, of course, still good to see this in bloom. And then for my catasetums, I got this one blooming. This one is an unnamed hybrid, I think. It's Sanguinium by Tabulari, and it's a really weird one. This is one that keeps getting eaten by insects every year, so I haven't really seen the flowers. I've kept it inside so that it doesn't get eaten by flowers this time, but it's a strange one. Look at these, like, on the lip here you can see, kind of looks like teeth. It's got this really vibrant green lip, or at least the outside of the lip. It's got interesting structure, weird cream central part of the lip there. And then the pollen triggers are huge. You can see they go all the way back into that pouch in the lip there. And it's got this sort of interesting red petals and sepals. What's odd is that it's not quite resupinate and it's not quite non-resupinate. So Sanguinium is non-resupinate, is resupinate. So that means to our eyes it looks like it's upside down. And then Tabulari is a normal angle. So this one seems to be confused. It's not sure if it wants to have the flowers upside down or not. So it's instead it's gone in between. And then we have nothing else really blooming. We've got some more of my mature Cattleyas here, and these are my sun lovers. These are the Certipodiums, so they're going to get hit. The Certipodiums and the Neobenthamia gracilis, which is the old name. This is now Polystachya neobenthamia. It kind of looks like grass, actually. It is a terrestrial, so from Africa. Really cool flowers. But the sun will hit these throughout the day, and then in the late afternoon is when the shade kicks in, which is perfect for this group. They love that really, really bright sunshine in the first, 2/3 of the day, and then a little bit of rest in the afternoon from that intense summer heat. But that's really all I wanted to show you today. Nothing too spectacular, just a quick update on the grow space and some of the considerations that I have as I'm thinking about, plant placement and sunlight and all that sort of good stuff, hopefully to not burn the plants. But anyway, I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.